Alright, do a little sound check here. You guys should be able to hear me. Alright, good. Let me get that thing fixed over there. Yeah, there you go. Alright. Alchemist, I can hear you. Or I can see you anyways. Why is that one coming up? That's interesting. That's an interesting behavior there. What's going on there? Oh, they all look like they should be good. Okay, okay. Guys, we're just hanging out. We're not working too hard. I've got some other stuff going on in the background. So I'm going to just be hanging out with you guys here. And, you know, what do we do around here? We do a lot of Linux. I'm doing Linux for work right now. And other than that, if you've got questions or anything, let me know. I am pretty much around. Trying to keep an eye on stream, keep an eye on chat. In case anybody says anything that's interesting or wants to kind of know about the group, the Linux group that we run. Other than that, I will try to keep an eye on everything else as we go. Got some college stuff to grade. I've got some work stuff to get ready. You know, usual stuff that we do on a work day. Kind of hanging out. Yeah, why is that one coming up? So, if anybody's got any questions, let me know. But for the most part, we're just kind of hanging out. Keeping an eye on everything in the lab. I'm working on other Linux stuff. But I am here if you guys have questions or if you want to just talk. Bottleneck, how's it going? You know, there's no attendance or anything. People don't have to show up, but you guys are welcome to hang out if you want. And I will just kind of hang out on the different screens there. You're seeing just kind of what's going on in the home lab. And I think every now and then you get a check on Ranger, see how Ranger's doing. Yeah, lab is doing stuff. We can do a little demo in there if anybody needs to ask any Linuxy type questions. But for the most part, yeah, I'm just working on stuff, and figured I'd hang out on stream while I'm doing it. So. Responding to emails. It's always fun. There's Nightbot letting you guys know what we do around here. Over on the Twitch side. On the YouTube side, you guys don't get any of the cool little automated bot stuff, but we can still kind of hang out and you guys should see. Interestingly enough, though. Oh, there it is. Okay, I was going to say YouTube's a little behind as far as like what I see coming back. And I didn't see anything coming across on my closed captioning, so I thought that was kind of strange. But it looks better now, so. I think I should change that one thing around too, but we'll see. Okay. All right. Go look in email. Responding to emails. Look at Ranger down there. I don't know if you guys see him every time he pops up. I think you guys do, but he's laying on his nicer, newer bed again. Let me go check on Ranger directly here. Oh yeah, he's turning around. Turning around his big old bed. So that bed that we got him was too small. So we put it on top of his other bed. Oh yeah, no, he's loving it. That dog. Bottleneck, I did get a little mechanical keyboard now, yeah. So it's a little louder than my old one, yeah. My old one was dying on me, and it wasn't that the keyboard was necessarily like done. It was just the F and the J keys. I was always taught to type by finding those keys, and then I don't have to look at my hands, you know. And the F and the J keys, both on that keyboard, the little nubs on them were worn off, so I couldn't. Like the last few months, if you'd watched me stream, you'd have seen me like making all kinds of stupid errors, and it was always because my hand was in the wrong place. So I got this newer keyboard, and you'll still see me do plenty of errors when I'm typing, but it's slightly better. Slightly better than it had been. You know, maybe only four errors per 10 types instead of 6 or whatever I was at. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's not super loud and clacky, but it's got a little bit of a key press to it that I didn't have in my other keyboard, so that's kind of nice. And it looks like Ranger's moved to his other bed now. He likes to lay with his nose down on the tile. You'll see him do that a lot. If you guys watch Ranger, he tends to put his nose down on the tile so it's nice and cool. So, but yeah, that's my guard dog. He's the one that keeps people from sneaking up on me. Oh, there he is. His nose is all the way down now. Yeah, he's a pretty good dog. Alright. All caught up on emails. That's the best. So no more email stuff to mess with. That's always good. Alright. Good. We got a whole bunch of security stuff that we need to work on, but I won't work on any course stuff right now. Oh. Ranger Cam's definitely, I think the stuff in general up here is definitely having some weird issues with its refresh. So hopefully that kind of goes away. All right. Yeah, it's pretty good. I know my wife's got a mechanical keyboard at work too, and she likes it. So, what other stuff do we got going on here? We got some of our Linux labs that we had been doing. I do need to. I probably won't do it right now because I'm working, but I have some stuff to work on with I have some new stuff to add as far as labs go to the ProLUG labs, so I'll be adding those. Probably do those later today. I won't do those while I'm working, but those are around. Let's see. What else do we have in here? What fun stuff can I pull up? Some of my security engineering questions there that I asked the students and the junior engineers that come around when they're coming for internships and such. These are the questions I ask them about. All right. Also, let's check a little bit of stuff on here. Make sure I can get all my servers. That's important. These are all the servers that are part of the lab that you guys can use. Looks like that's all good. Yep, those all look like they're up, so that's cool. I wonder if there's some that have a few users. Oh, the users are because I'm on them. Or is this node frozen? That's not good. Was definitely pretty frozen up right here. Oh, that's weird. This completely frozen when I was on here. Couldn't do anything with it. Okay, better. Yeah, so we can just keep an eye on it. That's basically what we're doing in that window. If anybody's wondering, is we're just making sure that the werewolf stuff looks the way that it should. The home lab. If anybody wants to see our little Excala draw, that's kind of what our little home lab environment looks like. I didn't draw the guys on there. The guys drew the guys, so we're stuck with them. But song we're listening to sounds almost like the Moonlight Sonata. It's not quite though. Bottleneck, I do, yeah. When I teach students about Linux, I do give them practical. Yeah, I've got some labs up on the Discord, and then I've got some labs that I'm working on, kind of giving people more hands-on. Yeah. I've got a little course in the Discord that people use. We had only about 10 people, maybe a little less than 10 people finish it last time, out of 208 that started doing it, and it had about 8 to 10 hours a week worth of work. It's a little different than the Killer Coda Labs. So the Killer Coda Labs are the hands-on stuff, and this was more like the Linux Systems Admin course that we did. It was more of, there was a worksheet and a lab with each week, and then there were 2 discussion questions. So you had to do the discussions, you had to do the labs, and then you had to like fill out the worksheet as well. So that one got a lot of people. People were pretty interested in that one. We did that one for 16 weeks, and that one's up in the Discord again. We're going to start that again on March 22nd, I believe. We're going to do another 16-week run through that course for people that want to try it and like challenge themselves a little bit, because again, it's like 8 to 10 hours worth of work for people to get through, and we had 200 and something people say they were going to do it, and only about 10 finish it. So that's about what, 5% or so. It's a significant knockoff. But yeah, it was a lot of hands-on. It was a lot of thinking outside of just hands-on. You got to do hands-on. You got to learn that stuff. But then you also got to do this stuff on your own as well. As far as like you got to do the work, and then you got to go do the hands-on stuff on your own. But Killer Coda, I think, is one of the best places for that. Yeah, let me see if I have. Hold on, let me pull this up real quick. Do I have on our Coworking the Discord? And then if I have the Discord and I pop the Discord up, let me see if it pops up for you guys. I feel like I gotta go grab that window again. Discord. Boom. Let me pull this up here. Let me pull up this. I'll transition this over. But yeah, for anybody that wants to do that course, we'll run it in here again. And what it'll end up looking like is you guys will have access. We're working on like a little book for it, but then also, you know, we'll start in week 1, right? And the week 1 will be, you know, we'll start off with kind of like people doing a self-assessment of how they feel they understand these different topics, and then we'll get into each of the different weeks and go through it. There will be, there's labs, there's a worksheet, there's a syllabus that goes with it. So the syllabus tells you what everybody's doing the whole time. So yeah, should be pretty good. All right, let me get that out of here because we don't need the Discord so much right now. Transition that over, move that out of the way. Get those things back up. How's it going, Dead End? Yeah, we're just hanging out. Not working too hard. Chatting a little bit. Doing a little bit of Linux. I'm co-working, so I'm kind of hanging out in some other windows while you guys are just watching stuff flip around in the screen. Also, I noticed I set the system back to 10 minutes, so these things aren't grabbing their run times nearly as often as they usually do. Dead End, you had a whole different thought about IT career after interview with bassist. Why? I mean, look, I get it. I'm just saying, like, why, if you don't mind me asking. I get. I think the main thing that people struggle with on doing tech is that you have to keep up with tech. I think that's one of the things. Now, I would also posit that being in Linux, you get to slow that down a little bit because our base command line stuff hasn't changed that much in the last 30 years. But yeah, you do have to keep up with the new technologies and the new types of server components and the new ways that things are activated. And there are things that have changed, but there are also a significant amount of things that stayed the same. But no, I get it. Like I get it. Like when somebody works with HR or something, you're always going to be dealing with people. People are always going to be the same. They're always going to have the same problems and the same concerns and the same, you know, like that's how HR works. So like hiring people. Project management, same thing. Like project managers deal with different problems, but they're like, I mean, the idea that like you're going from here to there. You're dealing with issues as they arise. You're asking for status from engineers. Like none of that stuff changes. Like and from a project management side of things, I studied for my PMP when I was younger. I never went and took it, but PMBOK has not changed significantly. There's some different versions of it, but 99.5% of it's the same. So, but IT is an interesting thing too. So it's basically every time they invite me for an interview, they look bummed that I don't have something specific they want, like AWX or Packer. Yeah, Dead End. I think that is a problem. I mean, when you look at like job, I mean, I think job stuff in general for tech, it's like they post everything they want, and then they realize that they need to get somebody that's, you know, they want to hire somebody that has like, you know, 80-90% of that if they can, but not everybody understands that or whatever. I mean, um, I told you guys I had an interview on Friday, just this last week. I'm staying with my company. Don't get me wrong. I'm not leaving anywhere, but I'm going to be going to a new role within the company, like a different contracting gig that I had been with before on the National Oceanographic Atmospheric Agency, which is NOAA, NOAA, right? Yeah. So I'm going back to them. So I had to go meet with them and stuff, and I think they liked me. So, um, or they've known me, so I'm like a known quantity to them. But it's like, yeah, um, there are guys like us trying to get, yeah. So I tell you guys, like, I mean, my thoughts on it are try to paint with a wide brush, have your good Linux skills, understand the networking, understand the component pieces to be able to talk to these things in an interview. And then, I mean, yeah, we can't help it. Like, my brother Tommy, he's been in data analytics for, I want to say about 3 years now. I'd have to ask him. I think 3 or 4 years now. He finally got into it. But Tommy tried to break in for years, and he's been with his company for 22 years. And he's been trying to break in, and every time he'd go in there, they'd be like, "Oh, you don't have a lot of SQL." And he's like, "Is SQL really needed? Like SQL?" He's like, is SQL really needed for like this data analytics stuff?" And they'd be like, "Oh yeah, no, yeah, we need you to have a lot of SQL." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm not so sure I need all that stuff." But then like they wanted to check this one box, and they hired like multiple. I remember this. They hired like multiple different people instead that were very subpar, and they ended up not even sticking with them. But because they wanted somebody who checked this one box in a weird way, and you'll get that a lot. People be like, "Oh, you really need SQL to do data analytics," and it's like, the f you do. You probably need Python more than that. And I mean, my brother Tommy works in Power BI all the time, so it's not even that. Um, yeah. The question is how you pass the first HR interview. Don't get to see the technical interviews. Oh, that's the DPR. I think a lot of getting past the first HR one is, just have as much on your resume that you turn in as you can that matches with what they're asking for. Like if they're asking for RHEL, make sure RHEL is on your that's RHEL, right? Like your Red Hat Enterprise Linux, make sure that's on there. That's what I would do. And then confuse. Oh, that's funny. Confused daily. Don't understand the need and good to have. Biggest problem in a job announcement. Yeah. Jobs they. And I've been over this before too, where, I go and I do a lot of technical interviews for people, and I end up interviewing a lot of people, and the person who's like the manager just grabbed some old version of the HR, some old version of the job description. It doesn't even fit completely, and he gives that to HR, and then HR throws that out to some recruiters, and it's never perfect, right? Like, I mean, so what I would tell you guys to do is what I always call painting with a wide brush. Show your engineering skills. I mean, if it's a Linux role, put your Linux stuff on there, right? Put keywords at the end of the CV. I don't put keywords at the end. Some of you guys have seen mine before. Hold on, let me pull mine. I'll pull my example one up real quick. Hold on. I've got an example one that I show you guys sometimes. It's my short little example one. Give me a second here. Let me pull it up here in OBS. I might have to make a new one for this. Window capture. Nope, not window. It's a program. Display cap. Nope, cancel. Maybe that is a window capture. And then just say Word. We'll go grab WinWord. Okay. Put this over here for a minute. So some of you guys have seen this before from me. Hold on, I'll pull this up. And this is like an example of my resume, right? It's stripped down with like the personal stuff out, but it's the things that I lead with the things that I think are interesting or important for a role. I start with things that I think, like if somebody's going to hire me, they care about these things at the top, I think, right? And then my experience comes next, because my experience kind of shows what I've been doing for the last 12 years, right? This goes back, maybe 16 years, goes all the way back to there, like all the things that I've been doing. And then the very last thing, the thing that I think is the least important or least interesting to me, is my education. That is my actual education down there, by the way. But it's like, that doesn't matter nearly as much to me to get the job, unless I'm going somewhere like for another college teaching position or something. But for the most part, this is kind of what I do. I lead with industry certs and keywords that probably align with what I'm looking for, and then I have things in here that deal with like what I've done to make a team better. Flat black. I don't think 50 is too late. No, I mean, when I was on the NOAA project originally, I was only 38, 39, so it was a few years back, and I'm 43 now. But I remember at 39, I looked around one time and I was thinking about kind of like everybody on a call with me, and the average dude in that team, it was all Linux and Unix guys. The average guy on that team was 55. The average age of everybody on that team. I mean, you can stay in the Linux side of things for a long time, I think. So, anyways, AIs are going through resumes. That's true, but this has been true for a long time. Like HR would scan things and it would say they want a CISSP, and if you didn't have CISSP somewhere, you wouldn't get a shot at it. So it was kind of like, there's always been that part of it. I think I was criticizing Windows a lot, but I couldn't help myself after years of working it and really getting pissed off with restrictions. Yeah, Dead End. I try to like in interviews, I guess my thoughts are, I stick to like the technical. I don't really give much of like my opinions on things unless I'm directly asked. It's actually interesting, on Friday I didn't have a single technical question asked of me, but that's because the guys knew me and they were still working on stuff that I had built. So I think they kind of knew that my stuff was okay. Confused says, Tanis, are you in software? I am not a software engineer, no. No. I am a Linux engineer. I'm a high performance compute engineer. I build everything that the software runs on. So I build the lower hardware all the way up through Linux systems, through the security of them, through the networking of them. I do the InfiniBand and the backend storage. I do everything, Confused. But I do that from a in my mind, like in the capacity of being a Linux engineer. So if you were to ask me, like, what type of engineer are you? I'm a Linux engineer. I'm a systems engineer. I'm classically trained in systems engineering and project management, like project engineering, if you will. I've done quite a bit with like Six Sigma and those kind of things, and I'm good enough with statistics to do most of the things that I need. But yeah, I don't think you need to put keywords at the end. I would put keywords where people catch them, because obviously it's only going to get through to the HR person if the first thing picks it up. So, Sweden software engineer. Oh, I am not Swedish. No. No. No, I get asked often. I've gotten asked by people before if I'm from South Africa, and I am not from South Africa. I am from Phoenix, Arizona. And aside from Phoenix, I mean, I've lived in Colorado Springs for a few years. I've spent some time in Iraq. Iraq in summer, very fun. That was 22 years ago now. Kicked off Iraq in 2003, right? So it was fun. All done with all that stuff, though. But normally I'm on camera, but on days like this when I'm co-working and I'm working on other stuff in other windows, I can just kind of hang out and talk with you guys and stuff. So, but yeah, that's an example of like a resume. I always tell people, keep your resume under. I try to keep my resume under a page. There was a time in my career, around the middle of my engineering career, where my resume was about 4 pages, because it had literally everything I was doing and everything I had done. All of these were blown up, so every one of these jobs looked like this here, because this is all my work stuff right here that I have, right? All this stuff is just historical work. Like, you just have to know from my title, HPC systems administrator, Ansible architect, infrastructure engineer 5. Like, you don't learn anything from this, right? But when I was younger, these all had like this. These were all like this, and I just blew up like long. But for me now, and what I kind of recommend people getting in, I think your resume should be one page. Later on in your career, I think your resume should be one page. In between, it can be as big as you want it to be. Because in between, people want very technical stuff as engineers, but then they also want it to be very specific, and they want to be able to read and see, oh yeah, this guy, it's not just that he's done some Linux, he understands the deployment of a system. And that's like a different thing than just being on a Linux team, right? Willingness to want to learn the job. Yeah, that's not bad, Ergen. That's not a bad, like, we can teach a lot of people a lot of things. But we also, in my mind, we want to show that people also have been working on stuff and interested in stuff before they got here, because we obviously can't teach somebody Linux from scratch. One of the big things too about Linux from scratch is I tell people, like, you may be good at this Linux stuff, but you might hate it. You might not want to even do it. So that would be terrible. Like, find out, finally land a job, but then be like, what do you mean I got to be at the command line all day? Well, that's what we do. That's literally all I do all day is sit at the command line. So, like, I hope you like it, because if you don't like it, well, maybe you got to go do the project management thing like we were talking about. Nothing wrong with being a project manager. Just make sure you know that that's what you want to be, right? Like I think I told you guys, when I did my MBA, which is my first of my advanced degrees, the emphasis was in project management, right? And like, I like project management, but I wouldn't want to be a project manager. I'm too technical, right? Scorched Earth with the command line. I loved Scorched Earth. I used to love Scorched Earth. Was broken. If any of you guys ever played the original Scorched Earth, it was broken. If you could ever just dig a guy into a hole and pour napalm on him, it did not matter what level of shields he had. That napalm would burn. It would get a little pixel hole, get in there, and just burn his ship. It didn't matter how nice his shields were. So with napalm, you just had to be able to get a guy in a hole enough so that you could put napalm on him. And that was one of the things, at least in the version of Scorched Earth I used to play when I was younger. Maybe they patched that out later, but yeah, Scorched Earth was fun. So it's exactly what I read on Reddit the other day from Seasoned Linux Admin. Once you land a Linux job, it doesn't mean it's free. Yeah, not everybody wants to do command line all day, guys. Like, I tell you guys the same thing. Like, I look at database engineers the same way I think a lot of people look at us Linux engineers. I look at database and I'm like, database is fine, but I'm not necessarily interested in doing database stuff, Hey, thanks for the follow. I think that's Kanyala. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. Compiling. Yeah, I like the one where they're compiling and then they're fighting. They're fighting in the office and doing whatever. That's funny. I sit at a CLI and don't even get paid for it. I just want to get better at the Linux stuff and maybe give it. Yeah, FP Hex. Hopefully, I mean, we sit around, we do this stuff, and we are hobbyists and we're amateurs and stuff. But then hopefully we find out how to transfer over and get better at it, or get to doing it professionally rather. I kind of fell into it. I told you guys, like, I had been doing a lot of networking and hardware work, and then, it just came up that one day I looked around and I was doing all Linux, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm a Linux guy. And, people kept bringing me in on projects and stuff at Lockheed, and they were just like, oh yeah, my title at Lockheed was hardware engineer, but I ended up having to we were doing everything there, right? Like, we were building all the stuff from scratch, we were racking it, stacking it, but then, yeah, it was just, I was doing so much Linux that people were just like, oh yeah, give Scott that project, give Scott that. And then next thing I knew, I was like 40 hours a week plus of Linux. Yeah. And it wasn't necessarily even that I was good. It was just that I was always doing it, And I tell you guys, I don't think I'm any smarter than anybody at this stuff. I just keep doing it. And I'm kind of like Jerry. I just kept crawling and it kept working. So if you guys don't get that reference, don't worry about it. Let me get rid of that. We'll go back over to our little stuff that we were looking at here. Um, yeah, yeah. So yeah, you just want to keep working at this stuff and get your hands on it. Build some stuff out, maybe. What's going on here? Oh, we're down in one of these remediation. Yeah, we were doing some remediation stuff the other day on stream with Stigs, and we'll just keep an eye on this stuff. See how the environment's going. We're watching on the left. We're watching the lab to make sure it looks good. On the top right, we're just watching the monitoring of the lab a little bit. We're just and sometimes people ask like how we do that. It's Revolver tabs. It's a Google Chrome extension, and I've set that up quite a few times over the years. Like when I've built out NOCs for companies, like a NOC is an NOC, a network operations facility, and one of the things I'll do is I'll just build out some Grafana dashboards. Find out what the requirements are, build some little dashboards, and throw them up on a 65-inch, screen TV on the wall. Put Revolver tabs on it like that, and it'll just loop through all that stuff you guys are seeing up there, and it's just like, something to keep an eye on, something to watch. We call them like a HUD, a heads-up display. You can just see if there's a red blinking light somewhere, and keep an eye on stuff. Keep an eye on Ranger Dog. Ranger has left the building. Ranger is not on his bed, guys. FPEX, you said trying hard with no certs. That's where I'm thinking of taking the CompTIA Linux Plus. Yeah, that's a good one. FP Hex. There's also, the other thing to do. So when we were looking at the resume earlier, right? It's like I tell you guys, lead with your strengths. If you have a good project or something that you've done, and you don't have, you don't have anything else going on there as far as like you've been doing other type of work. You have been doing, maybe you have some technical, maybe even some college in there or something like that. I would tell you, you have a GitHub. I would put a GitHub on there if that's good. But yeah, I would find things that kind of stand out and show, because there's two things you want to show in an interview. Can you do the work, and will you do the work, right? So can you do the work? Most of the time we know pretty quickly if you understand this stuff. Like I tell you guys, like I know it sounds kind of like, and I've heard people argue against this, but I'm just going to tell you right now, any engineer I've ever known that was worth his salt, if he talks to you for 3 minutes, he knows if you're operating on the same like plane as him, or he knows that like this person doesn't really care or doesn't know anything about tech, so I'll just go ahead and talk normal for him, right? I'm not going to talk like tech with him, if that makes sense. And some people are like, no, it takes longer to get to know somebody. And I'm like, yeah, maybe, but not. I don't think so for engineers. I think most engineers know. So this is another reason why I tell you guys, get in and hang out with other engineers, right? Like, if it's not our Discord, go in and hang out with, some Discord where people are talking like technicians talk, like engineers talk, because engineers talk a specific way. People who have been doing this stuff talk about their problems a certain way, So, if I were to ask you something up here, I think it's on the bottom right for you guys, but if I was to go in here and I was to ask you to talk about how would you go about hardening a server, right? That's a very specific task, right? That could come about. You could literally, if I asked 1,000 engineers that harden servers all day what the steps are, I bet you I'd get almost 1,000 different answers. And I don't just mean in semantics. I'm talking like in significant areas. Some people would think it's more important to patch first. Other people would definitely think the first most important thing is to get the firewall on. Other people would say, well, I'm not doing anything on that until I get the users connected. And it's like you would get a million different ways of doing it. So, Hex, you're looking at installing Proxmox on my Raspberry Pi. Nice. Yeah. I've never done Proxmox on a Pi. I think that's interesting. But if you do it, right, and maybe you use some tools to do some screen captures, and then you turn it into either like a little blog, or you put it up on your GitHub as a little, markdown explanation, I think people will be like, oh, hey, that's cool. This guy understands the process of building something and documenting it. Because man, I'm telling you right now, like across the board, the hardest thing to get most engineers to do is to document their stuff. All the engineers are smart. All of them know how to build stuff. Building stuff's easy. Building stuff's fun. I wouldn't say it's easy. I mean, you gotta think through it. But getting good documentation from it so that there's there's kind of the standard, we call them like a build book and a run book. That's hard, man. Like okay, we've built this whole thing. How do we tell somebody how to run it, right? How do we do that? And actually, that's something I've been meaning to turn into part of the admin guide. When we do the engineering focused one, we're gonna do a build book and we're gonna do a run book, because the run book turns into what the admins do all day, but they still need to. I mean, they still have root, right? They're still admins on the system. They need to know how to do things. Once you start hardening a system, I think if you have WC, what ports are allowed in it? That's a big part of hardening. Yeah, a big part of hardening is what's going on with networking. Like this example that I have here is update software, remove old software, turn on the firewalls, change default passwords and usernames, disable root login, and then disable password root login may be one. But there's so many other things that you might do, right? Let's go to Rocky 19 real quick. Go back in so you guys can see the cool little dev thing. But it's like let's say DNF update. Yeah, I mean, let's just see how many updates does this guy need, right? He's got 204 packages that he wants to update. And what are we on? February 10th? He hasn't been updated since November 29th. That's pretty long ago. And his actual update was on the beginning of November. So we're talking, months back now, 3 months back since this guy's been patched. He's definitely a candidate for getting updated soon, right? And then unused software, like if I do a system, well, there's a few ways to look at this, but let's say that I did a system CTL and I just saw all the, oops. Oh, well, we'll make it, you guys might not be able to see that because it's going off the screen, but we can see that things are loaded or active or turned on, right? I might just go with grep for active, and then I can see which ones are active and what's being loaded up. And I might just say, what the hell are all these things? Like, I don't know why all these ones are turned on the system. And also, here's the thing, right? This is something to think about as an engineer, as you're doing this more and more, is it doesn't necessarily matter if I do or don't know what this is doing. That's less important than is it necessary? Because I may look at this and I may find out that whatever this isn't a service that's needed by anything that's properly working. And then I look at it and I go, but is this necessary? It's almost like, you guys ever heard that process? There's like this process that people do. I'm not advocating it. I'm not telling you to do it. But it's like where you pick up everything you own and you go, does this bring me joy? Do I love this? And if you don't, you throw it away, right? Have you guys heard of that? I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just telling you that that's a thing that people do. But if this thing is not bringing you joy, meaning like it's not doing what it needs to in the system, whatever these are, I don't even know what some of these things are. You get rid of them. You strip them down. Yeah. 10 times program said, if you need a build book, then there's something wrong. Oh, yeah, well, fair enough. Yeah, the run book should be enough to keep things running. Yeah. The build book is almost always like, we're cracking open up like the old ways. We're going to look through the old knowledge, right? Yeah, and in fact, to be fair, your build book really just should be, in my mind, if something significantly breaks and we have to rebuild it, something past a normal pipeline build. Because like inside of an environment, right? Like, so look at this real quick. Some of you guys have been around for this, but for others, I've got these nodes here, right? And if any of these nodes have a problem, the only thing we need to do to bring them back is reboot them. But if the werewolf node went down, right? If werewolf, who's running all of these as part of his cluster, if this process up here, right here, this werewolf stuff goes down, then we've got a problem. And now we've got to go open this old tome and go, how do we get this back working, right? So that's something to think about as well, yeah. Um, Deadon said, how often do I run updates? Well, it depends. In my home lab, not nearly enough. In my home lab, fucking never. No, sorry, it's probably like every 3-4 months in my home lab. Definitely not nearly as much as I should. Now, for the like in a company, it depends on the risk appetite, whatever their acceptable levels are. Most of the time, I try to push for patching every month, with kernel patching at least every 3 months. With kernel patching, you need to take a system down. So now we have to plan, how are we going to roll through and keep customer-facing services up? Do we have things behind like a load balancer? Do we have, whatever these different things are that we might have to keep that? So back to this. Yeah, if Rocky 19 reboots, he'll just be down for a bit, and I can ping Rocky 19 until he comes back up, and then we can actually watch if we do tail-f on var log werewolf d, and then we grep for Rocky 19. We'll just see as he comes up and as he pulls his different stuff in the environment, right? Like as he goes, he's got to pull his kernel and his init RAM FS from the TFTP server, and then he's which is all part of an iPixie boot, and then he will pull his what we call a system overlay. So we'll see him coming up, and he's gonna go and hit the iPixie track cut so he knows how he's booting, right? Now he's gonna pull his kernel. That's the kernel right there. So it's one of these things like you have all this stuff to kind of learn, and I think like you can go out and read a lot of this stuff and practice a lot of this stuff, but one of the things I'm a big fan of is finding a group, finding people that are doing the same stuff as you, and go and do it, right? Like we've got this Discord, and you guys are welcome to hang out in the Discord. It's always free. The Discord is a place where you could go and talk with other guys that are either doing it or trying to get into doing it. We have quite a few people that are systems engineers through architects, through actually one of our guys just became the president of his company last month. One of the guys that came and talked to you guys, he was a director of engineering for his company, and I always had him come and talk to you guys, and he's done really good stuff. He's got some YouTube videos that we have up with him, Reed. His name is his last name is Reed, Reed. So then his name on here is Reed TFM. So read the field manual, right? Did Debbie an update on my desktop recently? Latest kernel panicked, but unfortunately the grub menu. Yeah, 10 times plan. Yeah, that's exactly right. If you can get back to the old version. In fact, that's one of the reasons I've argued with security so much over the years, where some of you guys know when I went and got my CISSP, the reason I did that was I would have never gotten a CISSP. I would have just always been like, oh, that's a fine cert. There's no reason to get it for me. But I went and got it because I used to fight so much with my security team. Guys, if you never heard this is like one of the most fickle things I've ever heard. But I got so tired of fighting with those guys that I got my CISSP so that I could have a separate signature in my email so that when I was arguing with them, I could put CISSP after my name. I think that's one of the most petty things I've ever heard. But yeah, I spent $795 of my own dollars to go take that test back in 2018 or whatever. Now my manager did send me to a little boot camp or whatever. But yeah, that's exactly why I did it, was to be an ass. But it was because, man, every time I would talk to those security guys, they would just like, they would talk down to me, and I'd be like, look, man, like, I've been doing this a long time too, and I can also tell you, well, and the primary argument was that exact same thing about the old kernel. Because here's what they were doing. I'll show you guys. We'll go back over here. Pings back up. This is what would happen. Actually, I can't show you on here because this doesn't have grub. Let's go to a box that has grub. So uname -r shows the current version of the kernel. ls -l on boot VM will show you the versions of the kernel that I have as backups, right? So this is my current version, 3.10.0.1160 15.2, right? So here's an old version, 62. Oh no, that's a newer version. That's a newer version. Actually, hold on. Is that newer? Yeah, 1162 is newer than what I'm running. Yep. And then this is another newer version than what I'm running. And then here's some older ones. I must have been messing around and setting this to an older version a while back. But this is when that originally was put on the system. And what would happen with the security team, this right here, this is completely what we would call out of pocket. This is absolutely inappropriate in a company to have a kernel from back in 2021. I agree with security on that. What I do not agree with security on is this. If 2.10.0, huh? I must set this back pretty far. But anyways, what I'm saying is I would update the kernel, and then I would always have one version of the kernel back. And security would argue with me that, like, well, all those vulnerabilities are active, and I would say no, they're not, because they're in the old kernel that's like put away. It's like the kernel's in the trunk. And they would come back and go, well, our scanner says that these are all active. And I would explain to them, I'd be like, no, this is the active kernel, and this one is the one that you're scanning with no problems. This one that's in the trunk, we would only go into if there was a catastrophic failure to boot. And they would say, well, no. If it's on the system, it's a vulnerability. And I would say, no, it's not. It's. They go, yeah, but couldn't you boot back to it and introduce the vulnerability? And I'm like, well, yeah, we could. That's, yeah. 116. Yeah. What's the most current one? And then if I needed to boot, Grubby will tell me the one that my system wants to boot to. So this is the next one my system's going to want to boot to. I have a feeling it's in here. Oh, it's just yum.conf. I have a feeling that I have... Yeah, look, I have Gluster and kernel excluded, so that's why the system hasn't updated the kernel in a long time. Yeah. So just... This is one of these things. Oh, and then keep a rescue kernel if you want to, but you don't need to. I need to remove this exclude line right here if I wanted to patch the kernel on this box. This box, if I were to try to update it, well, these CentOS 7 boxes, these don't actually update anymore anyways. Their mirrors are all turned off now. So now I need to rebuild him in general. He's also the one that's getting hit over here. If you're looking at this, these are all the servers that are hitting him, and people attempting to log in on Git and Pi and 500 and all this stuff in our monitoring. That's where they're hitting, is this box. So I do need to update this server because he's on an older version. His SSH is kind of older as well. If I wanted to see when I installed his server. Oh gosh. Oh, where was it installed at? Install date. Oh yeah, we need to update this poor guy's been this poor dude's server's sad and old. But I love him. I've had him for so many years. I've had him since probably 7.3 if I had to guess. So I mean, I've had the server a while. I do need to put him on Rocky 9 like all the other boxes. But yeah, that's, have your servers open and do whatever. Go back to just watching our systems run. Yeah, we'll just watch everything run. We do have the technology. Yeah, I do need to rebuild him one of these days. That's in my lab list. That's in my list of things to do, for sure. It's definitely high on the list of things. Oh, sorry, I'm yawning over here. Me and the wife did the Renaissance Festival on Saturday. That was a lot of fun. If you're ever out in Phoenix area, typically February through, it started last weekend, February through, I think it's going this year until the end of March. I think March 31st is the last day. So, yeah, just good times. So, what was the reasoning behind Rocky versus Alma? Which one does a better job following Rel, in your opinion? So, I had originally done Alma in the lab. In fact, I can show you guys this real quick while that's running. I might have cleaned these up the other day, so I might not have them all. I think I actually did clean these up. So, no, but here's Alma. Yeah, so I had put Alma 8.4 when it first all kind of happened. I put Alma on the environment and built it, and then yeah, why did I start doing Rocky? Well, so what happened was I don't know all the history of Alma, right? But what I can tell you is this: is if you want to do something on the Leather Biscuit, how's it going? I was just answering a question about Rocky versus Alma. So I had done Alma, looked fine in the lab, was fun, whatever. The reason I've been doing more Rocky though, and the reason you guys have been seeing me do Rocky a lot, is because Rocky is backed by a company called CIQ. That's C lowercase I and then Q. Yeah, and they're the same ones that do Werewolf. Now, you also see me do Werewolf in the environment, right? Like that's this stuff here, Werewolf, and that manages and maintains all of your stateless nodes, and it does a really good job. But the main reason you see me doing it isn't any of those things. It's this. It's that if you're going to do a government project, and a lot of the government projects I've been on with my company Redline and then Dell have been sold as Werewolf clusters with Rocky in them. And the reason you can sell Rocky to the government is because there's a support structure behind it. If you ever try to, like, if you ever take, like, if you're like, oh, I really like this open source software and I'm going to sell it to the government and I'm going to do whatever, the government will not accept it. You can't do that if you don't have a support contract behind it. Somebody's neck to wring, if you want to think of it like that. That's WRING. But anyways, like you have to have somebody that you can go ask a question to is the point. And I'm not saying Alma doesn't have that. I'm just saying on all these contracts I've been on, Rocky does have that because they're already using Rocky. So that's one of the reasons. So some of you guys are probably like, oh, Scott's been doing Rocky because he wants to blaze ahead and push Rocky forward. No, I've been doing Rocky by fiat. It has come down the pike, and that is the thing that I have to do. Therefore, I've been doing it more in the lab so that I feel more comfortable with it and can show it to you guys and stuff. But I mean, they're both doing Rel. I don't know which one's doing it better. I just know that Rocky is supportable by a company, a place that you could go, and that's where my, I guess if you want to think of it like my allegiance lie. Also, because I know that like a tremendous amount of government projects are using it, I also feel really good telling you guys that want to get into the industry, like, hey, I know the government's doing a lot of Rocky right now. I know it's a whole lot of it. So I've done like 8 supercomputers since June of last year that were all built on Rocky, with like 5 of them being Werewolf under the hood. A few of them were Bright clusters, but the other ones were Werewolf. So, like, I just know that there's a trend towards that. CERN using Alma or Rel? I'm not sure, Chingopa. I don't know what CERN's using. But I can tell you that we're using Rocky on like some of the government stuff I've been working with. And they're pretty big government and military type contracts, so I can tell you that about it. Probably Rocky's a lot cheaper. Rocky licensing is a lot cheaper than Rel. What Rocky can't get you though, they cannot get you Satellite. And Satellite is a big flagship of Red Hat because Satellite makes your patching better. And Abdo over on the YouTube side, yeah, thanks for coming by. We're just hanging out. I'm co-working, so I'm working on other stuff, and you guys are just kind of watching some of my screens do what those screens do, which is just sit around and do things that kind of amuse us and, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that not XL bed of Ranger's. Yeah. So let's go back to Ranger. His bed fits on top of his other bed. So poor little Ranger, but he does seem to like it. It is soft. It's very soft. There's pillows in each of these little arms around it, so he does really like the bed. But he moves around a lot during the day. It's very cool down there. We keep the bottom of the house under 73. These big tiles are very cool too, so sometimes he'll lay on them, or sometimes he'll just lay his head off and put his nose on them. So you'll see Ranger doing all that stuff. Um, but in general, Ranger's a good dog. He stays out of trouble. Keeps the rabbits and the coyotes at bay. So Lesbiska, in supercomputers, engineers build upon VGA power or server CPUs are good for. We still do both, Lesbiska. I'm seeing right now a split of probably so. Oh man, that thing is getting. I'm getting really weird. Like I don't want to call it echo, but I'm getting like a really weird something. All right, maybe that's better. Yeah, so supercomputing tends to be still mostly CPU driven, and the CPUs are super dense and they are liquid cooled. I haven't built a non liquid cooled CPU cluster in quite some time. Man, that's a super weird. I'm getting like really weird like jitter on my side with the monitoring of that window up there. So I'll see if it goes away. But anyways, yeah, supercomputing and like we're talking like a one U system will have 256 cores in it, and that's a lot, guys. That's like a whole lot of cores. But then there is a push for GPUs, and then I'll see like maybe one out of every 25 nodes will be a GPU focused node, and then we set up their own, like inside of Slurm, which is our scheduler. We'll have our GPU stuff that's also running, and people will be doing that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, Chingo. I don't know if we have a beginner command. There is a command to do all commands. It's just exclamation mark command. But I don't know. I don't know that all of our commands, like nobody's been using a lot of our commands lately. Like we have objection. That's funny. And you can do objection against other people. That's kind of funny. I don't know if anybody here remembers the old objection from the. There was a game that Capcom put out. Oh, I forget it. I have the web page somewhere, but that's where we have the little objection thing, and I think we built a little thing that did it inside of Discord a few years back, where you could just say objection to somebody and it would turn it into that little. Hold on, it's an internet meme, so you guys got to know it. He would just yell objection like this, and you used to be able to. There's actually a site where you can go. Let's see if we can find the site. There's actually a site where you can go and you can make these. Here's the objection image flip. Yeah, so I could say any one of these, and you can generate the objection memes. This isn't the one though. This isn't going to turn into a GIF. This is the objection.lol. This is the correct one right here. And we would say, I would do something like this. Confident. Right? And then here's a preview of it. That is so funny to me. And then you can turn it, it's going to yell, objection. But typically the objection looked like this. Hold on. The original. He would swing his arm. Oh, that's the breakdown one. Nah, we don't want that one. Where's the one? Oh, here it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you guys don't think this is funny, I'm sorry, but I think it's hilarious. This was a game. This was an old game, and then you could, yeah, you can generate what it's saying down here. I think it's hilarious. I think somebody should take that and do one of those where the bots, like the chat AI bots, are talking to each other, and they're just like having a courtroom battle. And you could make a whole bunch of them. A bunch of ad stuff. You could go and make a whole bunch of them. This was actually this saved something that I had put together years ago. That's funny. Anyways, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. That was just us messing around. All right. But let's let me see if I can pull something up here real quick. The old hourglass. Take a quick break here. Move it over here. Put it like there. And then say quick break and break and stretch. Alright, quick break and stretch. So feel free to wander around a little bit if you guys need. Be like Ranger, wandering around up there. And I'm going to take a quick break and I will come back and we'll keep working on stuff. But, yep, take a little break. All right. Phoenix Attorney at Law. I think that sounds right. I think there was a remake of that, yeah. All right, I'll be back, guys. Take a break, stretch your legs. is always fun. Come back to my, man, got a text right now. My solar converter, my solar collector on the roof isn't working. That's great. At least somebody's monitoring it. Now, I did try to put, you might say, why don't you put a monitor on your Grafana and do it yourself? Their API didn't allow me to log in and stay connected. So there was no, well, maybe I could do that with Ansible. Yeah, maybe that'll be a project, but yeah, there's, looks like my solar is completely down right now. That's fun. Which is like, you know, you want to keep that up in the Phoenix area, especially when you got a south-facing exposure, so you get a lot of solar. But yeah, that's fun. So that's down. I can actually pull that up real quick. Hold on, let me pull up my dashboard here. See if I can get connected over there. Alright, gotta find my dashboard. Oh, that's great. All right. Break's over. Now we're just back to relaxing. Oh yeah, my system's down. My system is hard down right now. As of about an hour ago. So that's fun. Well, that's great. Wait a minute. This is oh, these fucking guys. So guess when I just got the text. Today, right? Like the 10th? Apparently my solar power has been down since the 2nd. That's wonderful. Glad they told me 8 days later. Oh, I gotta text the wife, guys. It's been down since the 2nd. It's fun. Alright, alright. Well, can't do anything about that right now, so just stick with this old working and co-working while I'm hanging out here. Yeah, it's funny. When I first got the system, I pretty much just kept it up day in, day out, and I just always would check on it. But, the longer it goes, the more you're like, it's working, so you don't check it as much. And I haven't been checking it as much in the last few months, and then it goes and breaks 8 days ago, and nobody even. Garbage. Not fun. All right. Well, what can we do? Not really much. We're just gonna sit around and do some Linux and. I don't know. Wonder if I could hit their page here. I failed at 1:15 on the first. That's wonderful. All right. So I'll show you guys. This is also, we've talked about this before, but I'll just leave these up here for you guys. The Linux questions that I ask for platform engineers when I do my technical stuff. So I'll leave those up in case anybody wants to review those, or if you have any questions about like what I look for when I do technical interviews. Because I've told you guys I don't do a whole lot of actually I don't ever get called in to do the non-technical stuff. Nobody cares like what I think about whether or not I like the person or that kind of stuff. And I also don't care whether or not I like a person. I care just simply if they can do the job, if they can do the technical stuff. So when they call me in, I'm always doing interviews that are technical in nature. And these are the things that I ask, my standardized questions for Linux engineers. Oh, wife's calling me back. Hold on a second, guys. Hey, wifey. I'm going to see... By the way, I got you. It was 1:15 on the first, yeah. Wonderful, right? They just texted me while I was sitting here streaming. We're literally looking at Ranger right now. Well, Ranger's not on camera, but yeah, I mean, do you have their phone number up there? Sounds right. Okay. Well, let me get back to streaming because we're hanging out right now, and I'm just kind of co-working. But yeah. It's terrible. All right, love you, babe. All right, wife needed to know if she needed to call anybody and complain, and I'm like, yeah, we probably need to do that. I had texted her that I said we probably need to call these guys because it does seem a bit weird that you would wait 9 days. I don't know why they even bothered to text me today. They waited 9 days for the system that's been showing down for 9 days. That's Couldn't imagine doing that in my line of work. Like, oh, that server's been down for 9 days. Like, my server's been down for 9 days. Why would I? Why would I want to know that? Like, couldn't imagine. I couldn't. When we first put the solar collector on the roof, there was an inverter problem about 2 months in, and the inverter broke. So now the inverter's down and the roof is busted, and my wife's calling them to, like, because she works help desk, so she has time to call people. And she was talking to them, and they said, "Oh, well, we've got like these 50 installs first, and then we'll get like the replacement on yours." And she's like, "No, you guys need to come and fix ours, because like this is ridiculous. We've been down. We At that point we had been down for like a month after only having it up for a month, you know." And it's like we just put like, I think our full solar was about 57K, and that's a lot. And she's like, "No, you need to get out here like now." And a guy came out like the next day. They're like, "Oh, we got a batch of them," and then we got that one, and that one worked all the way. It sounds like up until February 1st of this year, and then now, well, now we're at where we're at. So, man, such a hassle. Just want this crap to just work. And you get crap parts. All right. Well, what can we do? We can watch these people fail their logins in real time. Here is a user unknown trying to log in. These failures right here will be the same ones that'll pop up over here in the top right window where you see failure from users. So we should see in any one little amount of time when there's a failure. Here's Vios was the most recent, and that's the most recent one we see right here, VYOS. I've never even seen, that's a weird name. I don't know if that's a common. I mean, I expect admin. We had a failed user login for Streamer. Streamer 1's a real user, and you guys can get in on Streamer 1 if you want. But you need to know the password, which is in the Discord. And that will send you to the lab environment to do lab things. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, actually, I probably should put that when we're doing a little bit of co-working. You guys can get in the labs. It's all that stuff's available for Discord. Alright. User admin trying to come in. It's always fun to keep an eye on what's going on in the lab. Just all the weird stuff that's going on. I mean, the internet's a big, scary place. Anytime you have something exposed out there, there's a lot of connection attempts, automated. I show that to my college students a lot. Yeah, Chris, I think that thing only scans every few, like maybe every week or two. And yeah, it sounds like it just happened to catch something that had happened 9 days ago. So yeah, that's frustrating. I mean, I did just send them something back, which hopefully goes onto a ticket of some type. because when I was on my little break, I walked down. I said, "Yeah, they all look off to me," because they sent me there's a picture, and it shows that there should be like 2 lights, and I sent it back, and I said, "It looks like it's all off to me." So that's probably the inverter down again. Yeah. So I sent that back to him at 11:09. So, you know, guess we'll figure it out. All right. So, while we're hanging out here, I probably should update these because while I think these are still very pertinent and important, I think that I probably could do probably ask some other questions here that would be useful. These are the main things I want to know, though, about like an engineer on a team. The major groups are how would you rate your REL experience, and then I can kind of talk about any of that stuff. If I gave you a raw disk, how can you add it into a system? What does it mean to be a journaled file system? Like what? Because that kind of shows me whether or not somebody's handled and worked in a file system before. Have you connected to LDAP or other authentication systems? And those are important because that's what you're going to do in an enterprise setting. You're going to not want to be in charge of, like us Linux engineers, especially me, I do not want to be in charge of controlling users on a system. I want to give access and trust, build a trust with an authority system, and that thing can do the authentication and authorization of the system, of the user, and then the user can come into my system based on what groups and roles they have and that kind of stuff. And that to me is a much better model than me trying to do that stuff. You know, we have identity and access management engineers in the company typically. It's in a bigger company, so I don't want to be doing that crap myself. And then what automation tech? I mean, at the end of the day, this is like kind of the crux of it. Like, how much automation are you comfortable doing? Fixing things, fine, right? We want to know how to troubleshoot and fix things, but then we want to know how to make them better and move forward with a lot of that stuff. And then how do you check if your users are having problems authenticating into a system? So this is kind of troubleshooting, and then some more troubleshooting. Those are the kind of things that I ask kind of engineers that I'm working with or talking to about systems. Like these are the things I want to know right here. What else do I have up here? Got a lot of our Socratic Linux we can do here in a little bit too. Another user unknown. Huh. Invalid user. So guys, I had thought about this before. Would this be fun? I think this would be fun. If I just allowed, right? If I just allowed everything, right? Like this user, I just allowed whatever password they put in, right? And then I allowed, let's see, Vios and add. I'd probably have to collect all the names and then go make them real users in like my Bastion system, my system that would act as my jump server. And then I would just let everybody come in, right? And then just keep track of we would just keep track of all the commands that they run in like a, we could give them we wouldn't even give them a real bash. We would just give them like a fake little bash that just goes and maybe, actually that might be kind of funny. I was gonna say just has it go and run against our LLM, and just have it tell them bullshit back that looks like a real prompt, but it wouldn't be a real prompt. It would just be seeing what they're trying to do and seeing what kind of payloads they're trying to drop. I think that would be really funny. I think that would be funny to watch too. Like just watch everything. Everybody connects. Everything works, and then just see what they try to do inside of a jail. They'd be inside of a jailed shell, and we just accept every command. We never return anything but zero. So they think everything works, especially if it's automated. It'll think everything was good, everything worked, but then nothing will work. I don't know. I think that would be funny. I had that idea a while back, and then I never finished building it out. But I think it would be funny if we're just sitting here, kind of hanging out, and everything did that. At least for me. And also, hopefully, I didn't miss anybody's chats because it just told me I reconnected to my chat room. So, hoping I didn't miss any chat. Yeah, let me actually see. Hold on. Is there a way to allow password? No, allow password. I mean, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. It's a really bad idea to do passwordless SSH like this. SSH keyword out there, yeah. So passwordless typically means that we use a key or something else. I'm using it. Hmm. Yeah, I have to look it up because I don't. That's not the way I would normally think to do something like that. All right, that's fine. I don't remember saying the word play, but apparently the thing thinks I said play. So our notes from the other day about what does an admin need to know about a service, like, and this set of notes comes directly from some of our labs. We had a set of labs, and then we were going through them, and we were asking ourselves, like, if I'm doing NFS, what does an admin need to know? Is it installed? Is it running? Where is it configured? What are the logs and errors? Like, these are the things that we want to know. Is there a monitoring solution to verify that everything's up the way that it should be? Or is that just, is it not a thing? Are we, are we getting all these things to work or not? Then the next one was Apache. Same thing. Is it installed? Is it running? How do we validate that? Where is it configured at? And how do we kind of make sure that that's right? Where are the logs and errors? Is there a next monitoring? So then somebody asked me, is there a monitoring solution? And that was kind of the next lab, which was, could we look at, you know, installing, in this case, Prometheus, send everything over to Loki. This was monitoring. Yeah. Okay, Prometheus, we tend to go over in like varlib Prometheus. And then we send logs and errors over to Loki. And I think we had some other different monitoring that we used. Yeah, we had a few different. We did all 3 labs here. So logs and errors were sent over to Loki. And that's actually how we're monitoring labs up in the environment there. That one that keeps kind of flipping over and it shows all the logs. That's a tool called Loki. And then Grafana can just pull directly from that and see everything happening. So, kind of a nice little tool. Nice little way to see things happening. Yeah, we came down here and we did all of our antivirus stuff. Antivirus was fun. I hadn't done that one in a while, but you know, you got a bunch of tools out there. You've got paid for services, you've got open source, you need to know the difference between them. Like ClamAV has a restriction of how much you can download newer versions of their it's actually by day by IP address if you're not paying them. So there's a limit. If you were trying to use antivirus for your whole company and you were trying to use ClamAV, there you'd probably have to do something where you'd have to probably be a little smarter about it and only download it once and then feed that out to all your different systems, because if you tried to have everybody download it after you get to about 20 computers, it doesn't work. That's kind of a funny little thing. We found that we were using, I had the high school students at one of my buddies runs a WestMech program out here for cybersecurity, and he always brings me out when it's like time for the students to do Linux. And I had them all do the antivirus lab up in Killer Coda, and we pulled so much with 20 something, almost 30 of us doing labs, that it broke. We couldn't download the new versions. It wouldn't let us download the updates anymore from the IP address, and I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, there's a limitation of our lab that we thought we'd never hit, because no one person would ever hit that, Probably no 10 people would ever hit that. We just had a whole class full of students, and that showed us the behavior, so that's kind of interesting. I don't know if you guys can see Ranger out there. Ranger hanging out on his normal rounds. Freaking Ranger. Then we had Slurm. We did a lot of fun stuff with Slurm. If you haven't used Slurm before, it's a pretty good little workflow manager. Pretty good little tool. Does some good work. All right. Yeah, you could build a local mirror for that. Yeah, Chris. Also, another way you could do it is just have it hosted and then shared out, because since it's only a flat read out of a signature file, if I'll show you guys real quick here. Actually, where does ClamAV put its stuff? I don't know where that is. Let's see where it is real quick. There's a root ClamAV. I don't think that's the whole. There's some open VAS. Could be var ClamAV. I'll let that run for a minute. But yeah, you could technically just point them all to, like, just download one and then have that shared out via NFS, because you're really just reading a flat file. So that's a good use case for just, you know, sharing out a NFS. But could you absolutely put it in one place? Yeah, there you go. So these are actually the ones, and then they've been updated. Oh wow. What? Huh. Well, apparently mine haven't been updating here. Now it says that mine's updated. But it's very possible too that this isn't the place. Or where do we have var lib, var ClamAV? Var lib. Well, that's weird. Oh, I want a var log. So these have been running. Nothing in any of those. But I think the ClamAV log should be good still. No? Not even today's? Well, that's not good. This thing's definitely running every day. I'm just curious what this is going to do. Will this actually do anything? Now we could do this and watch that process run if we want, right? But what I don't necessarily like doing that. Like, but also there's another one that's kind of nice. I think it's -S for summary. No, maybe it's -C. Let's see. Yeah, it's lowercase c. This is actually kind of fun. Watch, we'll do this with a -C, and we'll watch that S trace for a little bit, and then so it's scanning over here, and then when we're done, we just hit a Control-C, and it'll tell us all the things it was doing. It was just reading a bunch of, files, right? But I want to know what files it was reading, so I'm going to do this instead. This is the way I prefer watching this. So I'll watch LSOF of P for that process. And we'll watch it because it'll wipe the screen each time. And so now what's going to happen? If you guys are watching this, it'll go and it'll show me. So I'll see down here at the bottom if it's still just reading libraries or is it actually scanning things. And you might say, well, that seems like a weird distinction. Well, yeah, you'll know how far along it is because, well, one, it'll start being alphabetical, but you'll watch it start to scan the different things. What files is this thing reading from in real time? So this should go, and it's not able to do every 2 seconds, even though it should. It's doing every 10 seconds, every 5 here, because that's the best it can do. That's actually kind of funny. That's because that's the system under heavy load, right? As it scans whatever it's doing over here. So I like watching stuff. I like watching what a system's doing, because then I can tell if it's actually still working. Like if somebody says, "Hey, is that process hung?" Well, I can go here, and I can see if the process is still doing things or not. Right? I can watch it either actively, or I could just give this. Let's try this. Let's just do it like this. Let's just say like timeout. I don't know, like 10. I think that'll do it. I think this will do it. And if it doesn't, well, we'll just see here. But we'll find out where it's spending its time. It's reading 90% of the time with its system calls, and in this case, it's in any 10 seconds or so, it's doing about that same thing. So this is kind of a way to like see what your system's doing and kind of better understand what's going on. Is it spawning new stuff? Is it just reading? Is it touching open ports? All kinds of stuff that you can see right in here. So, yeah, kind of a nice little tool to see what's going on. Give it a slightly longer time and see if the ratio stays the same. So over here it's just reading through the whole file system for a scan, and then over here it's writing out. But this thing is also, I should be writing there every day. Copying log file to daily log file. And then scan all that stuff out. And then, I have it set to print to the screen. But then I also have it set to send data over to my old Telegraph, or my old database server, my old InfluxDB. Oh well. Oh, that one's interesting. That didn't actually. Did it finish? No. Yeah, we can just let it sit there for a little while. Maybe when that one detached, it didn't. Maybe it didn't have enough time with the timeout command's version of killing it to write out to the screen. I'm not 100% sure why that did that, or didn't write out what we expected. Let's give this a little bit. Give it, I don't know, a little over a minute maybe. Then we'll see what happens when we Control C it. Should give us a more, like it'll tell us what it's doing besides just reading an mmap. Although, maybe that's all it's doing. I mean, it is just an antivirus scanner. Huh. maybe, let's go see. Yeah, I don't know why that's giving us the... And of course filter. You can also trace specific things. Still curious why this one's working and the other one is not. Huh. And it should be doing something during that, unless during that time it's not managing to make a new call. It's actually very possible. I wonder if it's not finishing in the time. That's why all this isn't getting done. It's not actually writing out when clam AV is done because it's not finishing. See, this is the kind of thing we need to monitor stuff like this for. So this has been running for a long time. I see it running in the home lab right here. Like I can see the CPU spiking, but it doesn't look like it's been doing anything. Yep, there's my P01 jumper 1 box. Always low. Yeah. Yeah, this is not. Huh. Well, it'd be interesting to see how that finishes up, I guess. Oh, also did my, looks like my other thing busted too. That happens as well. Alright, there we go, that should be back. You guys should be seeing that again. Alright. Alright, good. My text to speech is back working, so that was busted. Looks like we're back though. Alright. Oh, there's Ranger up there. Ranger's wandering around. Where's Ranger gonna go lay down? Gotta pick which bed he wants more. The hard choices that a Ranger makes. Creep on him for a second, see how he's doing. If you guys don't know, Ranger's a very, very old dog. He's just old. Moro, you said, how's the job hunt? I'm in a job. I've had a job for, oh shoot, the whole time I'm streaming. If you're asking like how my interview went, I had an interview on Friday, but that was within my team, within my company. Um, I was not, where's Ranger going? Ranger's coming over here by us. Um, no, I'm not looking for work though. No, I was gonna move over to a new project with Noah, which is an old project that I had been on. So I think the interview went really well, but that was not. Yeah, I'm not like looking for work. No, I have, I have too many jobs. I have that job, and I teach, and I talk with you guys every now and then. Although this one definitely pays the least, and we get to look at Ranger. Ranger showing us his butt, but the most walking around I think Ranger's maybe ever done on camera for you guys. That's why I'm leaving it up, because it's amazing. He's actually moving around so much. But he is an old dog, so hopefully he's not down there hurting his hip as he falls on that. That bed's pretty soft, but it's still not so padded to the floor, you know. This is a very important decision. Where is he going to lay? You know, I mean, he's got a lot of laying around to do today as a hardworking guard dog, of all that he perceives. Oh, there he goes. He made a good choice. Oh, what killed it? So that thing got killed. So I wonder if out of memory killer got it. All right. So my system has not been finishing these. It's tail dash maybe like 100. Oh, that's why. Okay, okay. It's been killing it off to save itself. I mean, that's fair enough. Yeah, alright, fair enough. Yeah, 180's down. Alright, well, that's fair enough. Yeah, Ranger finally picked a bed, but he definitely was having a hard time choosing. But that's Ranger for you. You know, he's a good dog, but he's quite eccentric. One nice thing about him, he's very polite. Like if you were to, you know, come over and you know, he would wait until you put your hand out to come smell you. Like he doesn't like, he's not the kind of dog, he never like really jumped up on people, never really bothered anybody. Yeah, tomorrow you can send it to me. Do you want me to review it right now on stream? Are you okay with like editing it down so you don't have any stuff on it? Yeah, you can send it to me. I claim no great expertise in the reviewing of things, but oh yeah, you can send it to me in a little bit. I'll be on. I'll probably hop off here in a little bit and go get some food, and then I've been working off stream, so you guys have been seeing me here just kind of hanging out and talking. Also, I found out today a little while ago that my solar collector up on the roof hasn't been collecting solar since February 1st, and they just took it upon themselves to text me today about it. So that's wonderful. And I haven't gotten anything since I responded back. I haven't heard anything back from the. I imagine like a help ticket or something. Um, yeah, that's fine tomorrow. Yeah, send it to me whenever. I'll take a look at it over on the Twitch side or on the Discord side of things for sure. For you guys that I haven't been mentioning this, I mentioned it earlier, but we got a Discord. You guys are welcome to hang out on it. There's lots of good stuff going on down there. We're getting ready to run another Linux systems administration course, so that's going to be for you guys that want to, um, find the entry level stuff, right? Like what do I think that you need to know? I can help you as much as I can with the resumes, and I can help you as much as I can with the getting you confident. But you guys got to go in and pass the interviews, obviously, still. And a lot of that's going to be how well I really think how well you show that you know this stuff. Not to be like, oh, you gotta be some high and mighty, the smartest person on planet Earth, but you definitely need to get in and do that stuff. Oh, Chris, you can definitely take a month off of Discord. That's fine. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. If I didn't manage the server, I'd probably not even play on Discord very much, anyways. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. I need to write something that goes and queries that. There's an API for the Solar Edge company, but when I looked at it, it wasn't really an API for like me as an individual user. It was more of like an API for a business to business thing. Because I was looking at their API and I was like, I wonder if I could. I mean, I know I could get it to connect and grab a token and do all that kind of stuff. It's just that they don't really have, I think, localized calls for individuals. Maybe I could get that to work. I'll play with that. I had meant to do that a while back, and then any of you that are around know that I get busy with other stuff and I get distracted very, very easily. So I gotta keep myself focused. So that's all good though. We should go check on let's see on the Twitch side if there's anybody to raid. Anybody that we can see what they're doing right now. Is anybody online doing anything? No, not anybody in the science and technology. So we probably won't raid over to anybody. Oh, there is a light. Yeah, there is a light that goes out. Handle that with the camera. Yeah, I do. I mean, I do have little Raspberry Pi cameras that I could put down in there and just keep an eye on the light going out for sure. If I can, I mean, I have a thing that I can watch for output every day. I just hadn't been watching it. So they have connectivity up to the system. So I could trust that, or yeah, I could also do something local. And there is a light. In fact, there's three lights. Two of them were supposed to be on, and when I went out there, I took a picture of it. They were all off. They were all very off. So I'm like, yeah, guys, I think this inverter's down. I think we're not producing anything. And the interesting thing, I would think that I would think that APS would have said something. My power company. And you say, why would APS care? Well, because they get to charge me twice as much for solar as what I sell them. They pay me half of what I sell them. So they then get to turn that around and sell that for twice as much to somebody else. So I would have thought that they were losing a little bit of a revenue stream. I mean, I would have thought that they would have wanted to know, or would have wanted me to know, so I could get it fixed, so that they could be back on their little gravy train. Because yeah, the APS out here, they only pay you half of what they. So when I buy, so last month we bought 750 kilowatts, and they bought from us 1,500 kilowatts, and I ended up owing them $9 between like the taxes and the other stuff and all that. So that was fun. Oh yeah, Chris, they're probably understaffed. They're also probably. My wife had yelled at them when we first got this on, because we put the solar collector up on the roof. It started working, and then it broke like a month later, and then they were trying to tell me, oh hey, we'll go ahead and get these other 51s put in, but we got a back order of inverters, so until we get these 50 like installs that we have to do, we can't get you an replacement one. And my wife was like, well, we're a customer that just had this done, and you need to get our stuff back working. So she was like yelling at him, because she likes doing that kind of stuff. I don't like that stuff as much. She loves doing that kind of stuff. Vivana, you could keep going if you wanted for the sysadmin course. The thing I would tell you is, even if you finish it, there, like, the recognition wouldn't be any good until we do the next round, as far as like the little certificates and stuff. Also, I got to fix that page. We got a problem with the web page still. It works if you go directly to the port 8080. I got to get that working. I just haven't had time. So much stuff to do. Oh, Ranger's wandering around again. You guys can see him. He's off to the left in the light. He's been getting older, so I think he's just been forgetting stuff. And he'll do the same like pathing over and over again of like checking things. I mean, that's Ranger for you, but definitely tell he's not doing it as fast as he did when he was younger, you know. So, all right. Well, guys, I'm gonna go to my little end of stream thing here. I definitely appreciate everybody coming by. We will. I might be on later. I gotta see what the wife's up to tonight, but I might be on later, and if I am, I'll be on camera, and we'll be doing real stuff. I won't be co-working on other stuff at the time. So I definitely appreciate you guys, and I will see some of you guys later on. Take care.